time is England almost gone. Kingdom after kingdom has fallen to the Vikings.
Kill every Saxon you find. Show no mercy.
Wolves Chronicle. Echoes from the Ages.
It began in 865. A force so vast the Anglo-Saxons called it the Great Heathen Army landed on English shores. This was no raid, this was conquest. Northumbria fell, Mercia bent the knee, East Anglia was torn apart. The Vikings were spreading across the land like unstoppable wildfire. And now, the last remaining Anglo-Saxon kingdom, Wessex, stood in their way. In January 878, on the eve of Athelney, the holiest night of the Christmas season, King Alfred and his court were feasting and playing safely behind the walls of Chippenham. But unknown to them, warlord Guthrum had other plans.
Didn't your bolt head freeze over there?
Kill every Saxon you find. Show no mercy.
My lord Guthrum, the castle is ours, but Alfred is gone. He fled.
Fled? Alfred fled? Then go and find him. Bring him to my life.
Look around you. Alfred may run to the edge of the world, but Wessex belongs to the Danes.
A peace treaty lay between them. Guthrum broke it without a word. He seized Chippenham, Alfred's own royal stronghold. The king barely escaped with his life, fleeing into the night with a handful of loyal men, vanishing into the Somerset Marshes, into Athelney. The history of England has been written in these nameless winter mounts. After 4 months of silence, Alfred's call did reach every corner of Wessex. Not a royal decree, not a summons backed by a fyrd or law, just a message carried by riders through enemy-held roads, passed hand-to-hand across burned villages and occupied farmlands. The message was obvious. The king is alive, he's coming back, come to Egbertstone. Alfred arrived at Egbertstone and waited. Each morning he stood at the stone and watched the roads.
My lord, please take some rest while the mist is thick. Not yet. I will stay here a little longer. I must be the first to see them. There, look, they have come.
Somerset men arrived before the others, the men who had watched Alfred disappear into their own marshes and kept his secret for 4 months. They knew what was at stake. They had lived under the shadow of the Bane law longer than anyone. Then Wiltshire, then Hampshire, old men who remembered a Wessex without Vikings, young men who had never known one. Historians describe what finally formed there as perhaps the most personal army in English history. Men who weren't fighting for glory or plunder. They were fighting to go home. They marched for 2 days, camped at Isle Oak. And man dawn broke on the 3rd day. They saw the hills of Wiltshire rising ahead of them, and there, on the high ground, near a place called Edington, Guthrum was waiting.
The Marsh King finally leaves his mood.
We stand our own soil, and we fight, so we may return to our homes. Why are the pagans here? They want you all for their slaves. They want your homes as their own, but they do not know us. A great reckoning is coming for this heathen army. God with us for Wessex!
We took Northumbria, East Anglia, Mercia, and Mesteg. We took in a single dagger. Their king ran into the mood like a frightened animal. Mavisens, farmers. Wessex is already ours. Today, we simply remind them of that. Kill them all!
Attack! All of you!
Now it's the time. Advance for Wessex!
Retreat!
After his crashing victory at Edington, King Alfred pursued the defeated Vikings. Guthrum's army fled back to Chippenham, but Alfred followed them and immediately laid siege to the fortress. With his men dying around him, Guthrum had no choice left. He surrendered to King Alfred. But perhaps the most extraordinary moment of this entire story didn't happen on the battlefield. 3 weeks after the surrender, Guthrum was baptized as a Christian. Alfred stood as his godfather, and the Viking warlord who had driven a king into the slum was given a new name, Ethandun. This wasn't just symbolism. Alfred didn't banish Guthrum or execute him. Under the Treaty of Wedmore, he allowed him to rule the northern and eastern territories, what became the Danelaw. Instead of Evan's War, Alfred chose a negotiated order. So why are we still talking about the Battle of Edington more than 1,000 years later? Because what was won that day wasn't just a battle, it was the idea of England itself. The Treaty of Wedmore did not end the Viking Age in England. It barely opposed it. But Alfred built here, this fragile block peace would be tested again and again for another century. If we want to understand how England was really forged, this is the channel that shows you.
You can subscribe to our channel. The next campaign is already coming. Wolves Chronicle, Echoes from the Ages.